Hi, it's Hazel, and welcome to my channel, Hazel and Aka Design. This is another video in this little mini series on scrap busting fabric scraps. This video will be considerably shorter than the last one because I'm basically showing you two ideas that have a common element in them. So these are cute. These four sections were all together. I don't know if that's how they were or not, but I cut them apart using pinking shears. No, first of all, sorry. What I did was they were the front face of a pot holder. But the difference was that it had padding inside, like quilt padding inside, and it also had cloves and a lace trim around the edge. And you probably remember seeing those 25 years ago. And it had never been used. It was, just a decorative thing. And believe it or not, it still smelled so yummy. Anyway, I thought this isn't doing me much good. Why don't I take it apart? Because the the designs here are just awesome. So that's what I did. Deconstructed it and then glued it down to a piece of cardstock. Now, the bad thing about, this style, these colors are very evocative of a certain time. That country look, farm fair, like bench shows, farm fairs. This would be great in a cooking journal, a gardening journal, whatever. The downside of a design like this is all the straight lines. So all of these lines just emphasize when something is slightly askew. And totally honest, something is slightly askew here. So I thought that zigzagging around would be a distraction. And I also thought that the crazy stitching would be a distraction. Oh, I forgot to do this guy. Oh my goodness. Back to the sewing machine with you. So basically, the reason I'm showing you this idea is to be aware of the novelty fabrics that come into your life. Maybe they're in your linen closet. Maybe they are at a thrift store and you've passed them by. Maybe they are just waiting to have new life in your journal. Again, you'd be hard-pressed to get this look any other way. So, like I said in the last video, and honestly, I did this one before some of those other projects, and I have to say, I'm not that thrilled with my workmanship. And I know that that's I know some of you love me because I tell it like it is. And I'm human and fallible and don't gloss over mistakes and hope you don't notice. I didn't do a particularly good job on this, I must say. However, I have done a much better job on another upcoming project. So I know it's not the fabric and I know it's not the glue. It was operator error. So don't skimp with the glue. I think I was also a wee bit worried about trying not to distort the lines very much, and I still did. So, again, these are sitting, maybe ready to use, maybe not quite. So this would, these tags or pockets or however they finally get used could be just the first step in completing them. Let's just see how they might look on a page. So, it could be clipped in with a paper clip. It could be glued on two sides to make a tuck. It could be clipped on at the top. Let's see it on a different page. So, you know, again, it could be glued onto a flip like this and do that. Because, you know, the sewing kind of almost perforates the paper, the only area to write on would be in the center, you know, should a person choose to do that, but it's not necessary. So that is one idea. So I'm just saying, keep an eye peeled for these kinds of fabrics. When you see them, you might want to grab them. In the same, did I finish that thought? Don't skimp with the glue. I find the glue stick works well. Now, you know what? I don't even know if I used the glue stick on this. I might have used tacky glue, to be honest. And if I use Aleene's tacky glue, which does work really well in some applications, I then use my silicone spreader to sort of prevent any ridges in the glue from drying that way. It stretches out the glue, so you obviously use less, and it also smooths out the surface so you get a better, a flatter, smoother coverage. Now, I don't know, to be honest, I don't remember which glue I used on this. Either one would work. I found that this one tends not to really stain or bleed through fabric, but you know, it's always a good idea to test before you do that. Anyway, so then the second thing I wanted to show you is this. So this is a bit of a departure for me. Well, I mean, if you've watched for more than watched my channel for more than a minute or two, you know that I love concertinas. Now there are 4 of these embroidered panels. It's kind of a woven, homespun type looking base fabric, same colorway in all the embroidery, same dark brown name. So vanilla, nutmeg. Boy, you know, I could pluck threads until the cows come home. Nutmeg, cinnamon, and cloves. So I have a couple of things to tell you about this. They were, now I don't think they were completed, but they must have been a kit where somebody had obviously stitched them, but had never gone that final step and turned them into little pouches. So there were sort of cut lines and fold lines where your person would put in a drawstring and so on. I have liked the look of these forever, but up until now had never used them. So because I also came across some dyed file folders, I thought, this would make a good backing for the fabric. So I cut the strips I needed. Now I only have 4 of the little panels. And in case you're ever wondering, here is proof positive that 4 panels, yes, it's nice, it's adequate, but it isn't really, it didn't work particularly well. I don't care for the fact that there's only 1 panel on this side and 3 on this side. Now, again, is that the end of the world? No, it isn't. And I chose to unify this with some of the decorating that I've done. But back to the fabric. I glued it onto the file folder. I left the little fringy bits because I think that adds to some of the charm. I did use Aleene's tacky glue on this. And, before I glued it down, I did the crazy stitching around. I just thought that there was quite a bit of open space, especially you know, maybe depending on the particular, you know, like this is pretty small. There would have been a lot of white space, so to speak. So I did the crazy stitching, and then I glued it on, because otherwise, obviously, the stitching would have gone through the file folder. I chose to add a button here and here because those are the two covers. So had I had more of these panels, I would have, and in fact, it's under here. I had to, a file folder, it was just a letter size file folder. So of course it's only so wide. So I ended up having to piece something in here. And frankly, if I would have wanted to turn this into a bigger, more elaborate project, I could have added, in fact, I have them cut here somewhere. I could have added more of these 3 3/4 inch strips and just carried on and had many more folds. I didn't want this to take on a life of its own. I just wanted something small and cute. I think maybe I regret not going the step further and making it bigger, but I made the best of a situation. So I just used my Staedtler, not this pink, of course, or not this purpley color, a dark brown Staedtler Tri-Plus fine liner to do on the naked panels, to do the same sort of look of crazy stitching. Because I had a patch there, what I did, first of all, I thought, oh, I'm just going to butt the two edges up and put masking tape and then hide the masking tape. I decided that that was probably not very secure. So I overlapped the strips slightly, glued them down with art glitter glue, had some of this cut off fabric, so this was sort of some of the lines that were printed on the fabric, used that to hide a bit of this, to hide that patch. I then had this scrap that I just sort of isolated that yellow because of the yellow here, stuck down a sticker, used more of the cutoffs here on this, because I also had this kicking around, made a little belly band, and used some of the cutoffs there just to decorate the belly band a bit. Added some authentic ephemera. Here I used another sticker. On this side, another sticker. But I still had more pieces left. And they were a wee bit ratty, as you can see. So all I did, well, first of all, I thought, oh, I'm just going to stitch them. But some of them, oh, that's really not holding very well, is it? Some of them were really almost torn right through. So I have to tell myself, I have to convince myself that this shabby looking tie is is what I intended to do, what my vision was. You can see this is ready to rip right here. I should probably put a dab of glue there. So I just kind of did what I had to do. So I did some straight stitching. I did some zigzagging on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these little strips. And then obviously zigzagged down the middle once I was done. But you can see, maybe I should use this. You can see that it's lacking a bit of integrity here. And you know, it's not, in my defense, it's not that easy to zigzag when you're going 1/2 inch, because you hardly have enough space to do 3 little peaks. Oops. So I'm just going to reinforce this a bit. Again, I didn't pay particular attention to how, you know, where the fabric was the most degraded. I should have probably cut it off and used a clean edge, or what am I trying to say? I could have trimmed it to get to a piece with more integrity, like not something like this that's ready to, or this one. Which one? This one that's ready to rip. So I'm just adding this bit of glue with the intention of bulking this up a bit. Somehow I thought that between the little bit of stitching I did vertically and then going over it once horizontally was going to somehow be magical. But you know what? Since I have to put brown thread back in the sewing machine, I think I'd better cut that off there. Overlap it. Maybe I better glue it just to be sure. Since I missed that, what was it? Watermelon card. Okay, do we... Yeah, so I'll run another couple stitches over that. Because, you know, I just love changing the thread color and bobbins in my sewing machine. So I'm thrilled at the prospect. Thrilled, absolutely thrilled. So, you know, despite the issue with this, it does seem to kind of add a little cuteness factor to this. As I said, I learned a lesson here about concertinas. I don't want to really put too much stress on that too, but it is cute. And now I have finally put those little scraps of fabric to use. And I think that is the, whoa, I think that, sorry, my glue keeps falling over on this little tray of buttons that I used in the last video. I think that what it proves is that we can make something nice out of almost anything. And quite often you will really make your life a heck of a lot easier by backing the fabric on something with a little bit of rigidity and integrity. Because otherwise, you know, fabric is kind of has a mind of its own. It flops and it flaps and it folds over on itself, and that doesn't necessarily make for the look we want. So, and just as I said, experiment with the kind of glue that will do the job for you. I find that my glue stick, my preferred glue stick, does the job on most fabrics. And despite everything I've said, you will encounter ones that, you know, where nothing seems to work well. So hang in there, and please tune in for the next video, which is going to be a much bigger project, but I think one that you'll be excited to see and to try your hand at. Thanks, guys. See you in the next one. Bye.